When trading London session, what zones do we need to be aware of? So what zones are the actual banks using to trade the markets and to make the markets move? Because the banks make the markets move off of certain zones at certain times of the day. So first of all, I'm going to break down in London session which zones the banks use. So you'll see right here, I've drawn it on. The banks use previous London zones. So this is, I'm going to show you all this in a second. So this is zones from the previous London sessions that have been, and the current Asia zones. So that's the Asia session that London has just come out of. So London comes after Asian session. So the Asian session that London has just started from, that's the only Asia session which we'll get zones from. So we don't want to be getting Asia zones from like 3 Asians ago. So what happened on Monday? Well, London opened, it came down to Asia low, down there. You can see that's Asia low. So all it is the difference between the wherever the bodies are to the end of the lowest wick for the Asia session. So that is the Asia low, and if I draw on the Asia high, right there. So what happened in London? Well, it came down, rejected Asia low, there's a nice trade there, and it went all the way up to Asia high, and that's where it stopped for London session. Going into Tuesday, we went bearish on the higher time frames. That's not what this video is about, but we did go bearish. So what actually happened on Tuesday? Well, on Monday, we created this zone right here, which was Monday's London low. So that became London low, and what do you know? As soon as Tuesday London opened, it pushed up to Monday's London low, rejected, and then dropped all the way to the downside. So again, you can see just how these pairs move. Now, what I will say is that previous London zones, like this one right here, are stronger and rejected more often than Asia zones. Asia zones aren't as common, but you still do need to know them because it does reject off them quite a lot. What we'll often see is that Asia will actually break us below, or if this was reversed, it would be above. So Asian will actually often break us below the zone, ready for London session for us to then do the pullback, rejection, then retest. So this is just a break and retest of this zone here, but you would have only be able to catch it by trading London because it was a London session zone. And then on Wednesday, now on Wednesday, nothing really happened in London. Obviously, there's not going to be an opportunity every single day. Nothing really happened in this session right here on Wednesday in London, which is absolutely fine. All you need is really 2 a week, because if you think about how many other pairs there are and US session as well, if you're getting 2 trades, say GBP AUD in London a week, then you've got your others. It's more than enough. So on the Wednesday, there was nothing of interest, but it's still very important. This doesn't mean that the day wasn't important. You need to know that what we did was we created that London high there, drag it across, and you will see exactly what happened. On the Thursday, the day after, price pushed up to the zone, rejected it, then a massive drop off to the downside, which was worth 150 pips. So a huge drop off, and it came exactly from this zone right here. What we will often see is London session will open, it will push up to a zone. So this is when we're selling. As soon as the session opens, it will push up to the zone, reject the zone, then have a huge drop off in the opposite direction. So that's what happened on Thursday. It was just really, really simple. Put it back onto the 30-minute right now to show you what happened on the Friday. So on the Friday, I'm going to look at the previous London session zones. So we have this zone here from Wednesday, which was Wednesday's London low. That could be of importance. Now, when we look closer, what you'll see this actually became was Asia low. So I'm going to make that the actual Asia low, because that candle right there was the last one in Asian. It came all the way down there. If I take that across, so we've got that zone right there, which was, if I explain it again, Wednesday's London low, and it was also this current Friday's Asia low. What we also have is down there, we have the London low for Thursday. So these are just London zones that I've drawn on, and also Asia zones right there. You'll see in all the examples exactly how I use this, but this is more just about how it actually does move. So if I go on the 5 minutes to show this one clearer. So on Friday, what actually happened is that unlike all the other days where price pushed up, rejected, then dropped, in this case, it actually broke below the zone and came all the way back up for the break and retest, tapped perfectly into Asia low. Asia low was this zone right there, because obviously Asia's in black. That's Asia low. Did the perfect break and retest of Asia low, and then from that point, sunk all the way down, and it did end up rejecting Thursday's London low right there. So you can see, I've shown you just through this week on GBP AUD how London moves, what zones you need to know. So to recap, the zones you need to know are the previous London zones. I've showed you all this just then. So previous day's London session zones and the current Asia zones from the Asian that's just been. So these are the rules to trading London. So these are the zones you're looking for. Now in London, you should only really be trading GBP JPY, GBP AUD, and Euro JPY. I don't recommend you trade really anything else in London because that's what I trade. That's what I've always known how to trade. That's what I recommend trading. There's more than enough money to be made on them. And these are the exact zones that it rejects because all the pairs that I've just ticked off there, so GJ, EJ, and GA, they all have a European currency, so it's the British pound or it's the euro, and then in the secondary part of the currency, they have an Asian currency, so it's the Japanese yen or the Australian dollar. That is how we get these perfect zones for London session on these pairs. So I recommend you trade these pairs, these three pairs in London, using these zones right here. Today's the 24th of October, and I'm going to show you exactly just what zones London rejects, because we know these zones, they happen time and time again. So first of all, what we've got to do is previous London zones. What are they? I've put this just before London opened. Previous London zones, what are they? Well, obviously we have this London low down there, which is the next next London zone down from the one that I'm about to draw now. And obviously we have the next London zone, which is there, which drag across and then drag it up to make it more accurate. So you can see that this zone I've just drawn on here, I'm actually going to put it on the 15-minute to make that a bit, because that's still quite thick. I'm not liking how thick that is. So if I just tighten that up to there on the 15-minute, what you'll see is that Friday last week, Thursday last week, and Wednesday last week all rejected this same one zone here. So this is a clear London zone. Then the next one below this would be this London zone here. We'd also have Asia low, but because there was so much movement overnight, we're not going to reach this Asia low. It's just too far down. So I don't need to draw that on. So we have these two zones. Do we have an Asia high that we can draw on? Yes, we do. We can draw on the Asia high just around there, like that. What I'll probably do is I'll just tighten that up to there, because again, that was just Asia, crazy Asia movements. Now let's have a look at what actually happened in the session. So I'm going to put it on the 5-minute, and what you'll see that happened is that as soon as these, I'm not talking about trades here because the high time frames didn't really show any momentum for anything, but what I'm using this to do is to show you the zones that are respected day in, day out. So what happened? Straight away, rejected Asia high, pushed down to our London zone, which was all the last times London has tapped into this zone. It's rejected the last 3 days in London. Tapped down to this zone, then bounced back up to Asia high. Rejected Asia high, came to the downside, did a break and retest of this London zone because that was a clear break below. Did the break and retest, very clean break and retest with a rejection candle, then sunk all the way down to the next London zone, and then clearly rejected that London zone and pushed to the upside. That London zone, it was just the next London zone down. In this one London session here, without even breaking any trades down or anything, you can see just exactly what zones are rejected. So Asian high, double tap there, all the way down to this previous London low. Also, we rejected this London zone here, and then we did a break and retest of it. So this is just showing you, giving you more examples of the exact zones that London rejects. What was the predominant move of Monday? So it was this downtrend here. It wasn't a very big move, but it was a move. So it was this downtrend move here. So why did this happen? Why did price bounce off of this zone here? Let me show you. Overnight, Asian, this is the zone that was created. This was the Asian high. Let me draw that across. You can see Asian high, what happened? We came back to retest it at London, rejected it. Surprise, because it is the Asian high. So London rejected it and then dumped down. Yes, here you can see there was an Asian low zone formed. I'll just draw this on. You can see this is the Asian low zone that was formed, and you can see that there was not much volume this day. So what price did during London is it rejected Asian high and then bounced down to Asian low and also rejected that. Then US session came along and broke down below that. Now I'm going to get rid of that because it's not of much importance, because there was just no volume on Monday. So this low zone isn't of too much importance. So what I have here is London price bounced off of Asian high and then went downwards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this zone on because it is the previous day's Asian zone. So what happened on Tuesday? Well, the exact same thing. Price formed this high zone here in Asian, So this was the Asian high. What happened? Price pushed up to it at the start of London. Start of London, rejected it, and then dropped harder this time with more volume. You can see it was a clear rejection candle, long upper wick and a bearish body. That right there is an easy sell. Not only did it reject this Asian zone here, the Asian zone of the session just before it, it also rejected the previous day's London high, which was coincidentally the week's London high as well. So what happened on the Tuesday, I've already told you, we rejected that zone. And what happened? We pushed all the way down here and we created, let's draw it on, we created this zone right here. This was what became the London low. So going into Wednesday, which is this price action here, what happened in London session? Well, we have this zone here, which was the Asian low that was created. You can see this was created overnight in Asian. Price bounced down hard, down at the start of London. What happened? Well, we rejected the previous day's London low, which was also the lowest point price had been during London for the week. We rejected that. I 100% knew this rejection was coming because this is just how price works. Why does this work? Well, because the banks and institutions, the big players in the market, they put their orders at these levels. If you didn't already know, very, very key information here. So what happened was price rejected previous London low. Where did it bounce to? Well, it bounced up to the Asian low, then rejected that. You can see how the Asian and London session high and lows now work for GBP, JPY. I'm just going to show you Thursday as well real quick. So I'm just going to remove that zone there. And I'm just going to edit this one. You can see it's the same kind of thing, but on Wednesday, we created this low here, which was, yes, it was the same as the previous day, but I'm just going to refine it a little bit. So on Wednesday, we created this London low here, if I just show you. So it was all of this zone here. Just as I said, you need to know the rejection came somewhere within these lower wicks here. So this is the zone going into Thursday that we have drawn on. Also, now so we're going into Thursday. What was the Asian low? It was the previous day's London low. So we don't need to draw it on. We've already got it drawn on. Now it's going to be obvious going into London what is going to happen, because not only was it the previous day's London low, it was also the lowest point price had been for the week in London session, and it was the Asian low. So this was 100% going to reject. Well, obviously you can't be 100% in trading. You never know what's going to happen. But we can be 99% sure that this was going to happen. So what happened? Price bounced at the start of London straight off of the previous London low and the Asian low and bounced up. Easy price action again.